So, do you want to learn how to separate yourself from the rest of the population? Well, this is the right video for you. You clicked on this video, and what you're going to do is you're going to change the way you think about everything around you. You're going to separate yourself. The first step to separating yourself is thinking about things in a different way, a way that you never have before. You got to create new habits for yourself. What is good with y'all, man? It's your boy Unseen. I'm coming at y'all with an absolute banger, bro. Banger. This one's going to be a banger, and I already know it because nobody is going to teach you knowledge like I teach you. Today, we are talking about three ways you can separate yourself mentally from the rest of everybody else in the world. How do you separate yourself from them? Because right now we live in a world where that is intentionally frowned upon. It is intentionally frowned upon by the matrix, by the system. And separating yourself is the best thing you can do. Separating yourself meaning being in a different type of frequency, being on another level, being a step above people. You know, I like to say that really there's no such thing as boundaries and like levels to this, but sometimes you have to jump into this matrix and this hierarchical systems that we create for society. So I'm going to start utilizing those terms in this video just to get the point across of what I'm trying to say. Be sure you drop a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel if you're a new man. Without further ado, let's get into these three ways. We're going to jump straight in. The first way to stop thinking like 90% of the population, the way to separate yourself from roughly 90% of the population. It might even be more, 95%. Number one is stop thinking like a consumer. Stop thinking in the way that you gotta consume everything you see. You gotta watch this podcast. You gotta buy this bag of chips. You gotta literally everything around you. You gotta stop thinking that you want to obtain it rather than how did these people who I'm buying from get to this point to where they can bring something and give it to you and they make money off of it. They make profit. You got to start thinking in ways in patterns that most people don't think. Most people in a consumerist society do not think about what it's like to be a producer. They think about what it's like to be a consumer because that's what they've been programmed to think, because it's all around them. It's all around me and you. I'm a consumer. You're a consumer. We're all consumers. The balance between us being a consumer and a producer, because we are all producers technically, but the balance between us being consumers and producers is pretty much 99 to 1%. 99% of people are on the consuming side of their brain. The 1% of their brain is producing. So to get your brain to be more shifted towards the producing side of things, like things putting out things for people to consume so you can actually, profit and get ahead and work your way up and get your message across and spread knowledge. The way you need to do that is you need to start questioning things. You need to start questioning everything you see, because once you start to ask the questions of how did this get here? How did this company get to this place? What steps did they take? What steps should I take to grow my own brand? Once you start thinking like this, you start to think like a producer. You start to think that you can actually get there, and you can get there. It's a matter of if you want to put in the work and how bad you want it. From 90+% of the population, the second way you can separate yourself is by studying history. Study that shit. Study it. I'm telling you, the way I know what's going to come next, the way I'm able to pretty much predict, part of my prediction is coming from my intuition and just having your third eye open, because you can kind of just sense it. But the other way is from studying the past, studying patterns. Humans are pretty much habitual creatures where we do things out of habit. So when you start to study how habits work over the period, thousands of years since humanity existed, since recorded history existed, right? Once you study that, you'll start to connect some dots that you wouldn't have been able to connect if you didn't study that. You can only connect those kind of dots by studying history. It's very exclusive. So I say to study history so then you can know what the future is going to be like. The saying goes, those who don't learn their history are doomed to repeat it. Something like that. You know what I'm talking about. People who don't learn their history are doomed to repeat history. They're doomed to repeat it because they haven't learned from it. You need to learn from it. The way you can learn from it is by using these resources we got, bro. We got information in the click of a button. You got to think how hard it was not even 50 years ago just to get information on the scale that we have it. We have so much access to information that it's almost a crime if you're not doing your history, you're not doing your own research. So I tell you to do that because you can be able to predict where the future goes based on studying the past, based on analyzing characters and people from the past and thought patterns of multiple of a big populace of people. Once you start to study civilizations and just how everything works economically, politically, socially, you'll start to really mold that into your worldview for how you can project the way that our current society goes. That's how you separate yourself from most people, is because most people are not focused on that. Most people don't give a fuck about history. In fact, they hate it. In fact, they demonize it. They demonize it right now. Pay attention to how the media just demonizes American history. Pay attention to how they demonize anything relating to the past. They want to get rid of this shit. There's a reason they want to get rid of it. It's so you can't learn from it and you can't move forward and progress further and build a better society on top of that. They don't want you to do that. They want you to destroy yourself, and they want to have access to all the history. They're trying to do that right now in the real world. So I advise you to study up, study the fuck up, and you'll separate yourself from most people in this world. The third way to separate yourself from 90+% of the population in today's world, the third way is going to be, you need to start asking more questions and have less answers to things. If you ask more questions than giving answers, you are going to easily find that you will be not isolated from the rest of the people, but just you'll be in a different lane. You'll be in a way different lane from most people, if not all people. You need to ask more questions because asking more questions in turn means you listen and you observe more. If you listen and observe more, the observant one in the room knows the most, but they don't say that. You will not say that. That's the thing, is once you start asking more questions, you'll start to realize that I'm not gonna fucking tell everybody all these things that I know because I ask so many questions. And I get told this all the time because in my life, I don't talk a lot. I don't really speak unless I'm spoken to. So when you ask more questions and when you pretty much don't really talk as much either, the times that you do talk and you do ask questions, motherfuckers are going to listen to you. Being a man of few words is one of the best traits you can have because you're almost kind of selling yourself as a limited edition item, if that makes sense, because there's not a lot of it. You're not giving out a lot, but what you're giving out is fucking quality. So asking more questions and listening more is just going to put you over the top in terms of your value, and it's going to separate you from most people because most people have been trained by TV, by our phones, by social media, by the movies we see. We're trained to fucking talk and socialize and do all this shit. We're never trained to actually listen to people. Media just tells you to say whatever the fuck you want without realizing that what you speak is vibration, and the vibrations you give off in turn affect the auric, the torus field of individuals around you, the energy fields. They don't go that deep because they don't want you to know that. They don't want you to know that because once you do know that, you're going to realize that everything is valuable. Everything. There's value in every little thing that exists right now. Another reason why you should ask more questions is because when you give out more answers than asking questions, you're going to make it sound like you know everything when in fact we all know nothing. The person who asks more questions knows that he doesn't know anything. Knowing that you don't know anything is going to get you so far because you're already priming yourself to realize, to think in a way that most people don't think, which is in an open-minded way. Most people don't have an open mind. Most people are closed-minded to the majority of things that they see and they hear. They're not accepting of change as much, and because they've been programmed for years by every little thing around them. So once you have an open mind, sky's the fucking limit. You can do anything. You can really do anything. And 90% of the people don't have an open mind. They don't. Even though they will say they do, they really don't in theory, because the second you challenge them on something that they hold dearly to themselves, they're not open-minded to it. Me, you can challenge me on anything that I hold to myself. You can challenge me on this. You can challenge me on the way I grew up, on anything. And I'll say, you know what? You might be right, because I don't know. So knowing that you don't know is such a superpower, bro. Such a fucking superpower. And that superpower is hard to come by. It's going to separate you from 90% of the people that exist. So those are the 3 ways, just to reiterate once again. Number 1, start to think like a producer. Stop thinking in this consumerist mindset of you got to buy everything. You got to watch everything. You got to eat everything, even consuming food, right? Stop thinking like that. Start thinking, how did the people that I consume from, how did those people switch from consumers to producers? Start thinking like that. Start thinking about how you can become a producer. The second way to separate yourself from 90% of the people, again, reiterating, study the fucking history. Study the history. When you study the past, you'll gain awareness of the present, leading to foresight of the future. Fucking quote that shit. Quote that shit right there. I'm telling you, like, it's just natural, bro. This shit's natural. It just comes naturally. The third way to separate yourself from 90% of the population is to start listening more, talking less, and asking more fucking questions when you do get to talk. Speak less, but make sure when you speak, it's fucking quality. People will listen. People will fucking listen to you, because most people nowadays don't listen to anyone because they talk so goddamn much. When you don't talk a lot, people are gonna want to listen to you. And in turn, ask more questions. When you ask more questions, you program yourself to have an open mind. When you have an open mind, you can literally do anything, because you're not bound by your own mind at that point. You're not limiting yourself in your capabilities. So that was 3 ways to separate yourself from 90+% of the population. Let me know in the comments which way you think is going to be working the best for you. I'd really love to hear because we all operate differently. So I'd like to hear the way that probably caters to you the best. Let me know that shit in the comments. Subscribe to the channel, man. This was 3 ways. I'm about to make this a fucking series, man. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Like on this video. Drop a fucking like. It's been your boy Unseen. I will catch y'all in the next video, man. Peace.